What's up, decoders? Welcome back to the channel. This is a live stream. Today is September 16th, 2025. And this is Decoding with Cody signing on again with some breaking news of the day and also just a lot of things that need to be put together with this death today of Robert Redford. And so, again, this is something I've talked about on my channel before. I just talked about Robert Redford in July. So here we go. We got another good stream for you today. Hope you guys are all well out there. Give me those thumbs up in the chat if you guys can hear the live stream. Thumbs up from Coffee Girl. Appreciate that. Thank you guys. Hello to Coffee Girl as usual. Much love. And hello to Geocentric75. Hello to Spensa and Enthused Dreams and Danique Taylor. Hope you guys are all great today. So yeah, like I said, this is a live stream, so we're gonna dive into this pretty fast because we have another live stream coming up later. So for those of you new to the channel, I got a lot of new subscribers. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, I do a live stream with two other very great decoders over on Ball Don't Lie, the channel. So let me just bring that up. We're going to have that stream in a few hours. Let me just bring that up. So after this stream's over, guys, at 10 p.m. Eastern, please come join us on this channel, Ball Don't Lie, with 3 L's. Please go subscribe to this channel. This is where you're going to see the three of us, me, AJ, and Rambo, every Tuesday. And again, this one will be coming up in a few hours. So after this stream's over, we got a double header. We got 2 streams tonight. So welcome to all the new people. If you're new and you just got here because of all the Charlie Kirk stuff, I hope you guys find this information compelling. And we're gonna keep digging into this charade and see what else we can find. But while we're waiting for some people to get in, please hit those like buttons and thank you to all the people that have already showed up and hit the like. That helps the algorithm. That's the best way to support the channel. Yes, Coffee Girl has posted the link to Ball Don't Lie's channel in the chat. If you guys want to go subscribe, again, that is where every Tuesday we get together and we go over the events, okay? So definitely make sure you subscribe to that channel. And that'll be here in a few hours. And if you want to support the channel, hit those likes. I got a buy me a coffee link at the top. That's always appreciated. And with that being said, we're going to start getting into some of this info. And I titled this decode Charlie's Web. And well, as you guys might be able to understand, it's based off of Charlotte's Web, right? And we're going to do a quick recap. For those of you who haven't seen the video, we're going to do a quick recap of the info from last video, right? And I want you guys to remember real fast that this is all not just a numbers game, but this is wordplay, okay? Words and names mean something, okay? And don't forget, Carl, the original word Carlos, means free man, okay? And of course, Charlie Kirk was wearing a shirt that said freedom when he was shot, and he was shot by a guy named Hunter. So somebody that's hunting our freedom. But the point here is that before I get into this, just keep in mind throughout the whole decode, all of these names are associated, okay? Charlotte is another word for Charles, feminine. Carolina is another word. Or Carol is another word for Charles. Carl, Carol, okay? Carlos and Charlie, of course. And Charlene and Chuck. So there's a lot of different names for this. There's Charles you're going to see that this is truly a web of Charles, okay? And we get more confirmation today with the death of Robert Redford, whose real name is Charles. So for anyone who watched my last video from a few days ago and said, Cody, you're just absolutely crazy. There's nothing going on here with Charles. That name is it's just a coincidence that we're seeing all these Charles. Well, here's your confirmation. Just a few days later, on September 16th today, you get the death of Charles Robert Redford. So here we go. I mean, come on. And we're going to dive into Robert Redford a bit after this. But first, I'm going to talk about all the Charles first, recap everything, and then we'll talk about Charles Robert Redford. And Robert Redford is a very, very famous actor, well-renowned. This is not a small death. This is a big death, guys, in the movie industry. And I'm going to show you how this is connected to Charlie Kirk. And again, everything in this, in case you guys have questions, if you're new, everything is a web. This reality is a spider web of woven events, webbed together. They all connect, okay? And that's why this is, in fact, what are we using right now to communicate with each other? Are we not using the World Wide Web? Right? Isn't the web like something we use every day? I think we should talk more about this symbol of the web because obviously we use it every day. So before I get into it, let's recap. Let's recap. So in my last video, which got 11,000 views, so thank you guys who watched this video, I pointed out how everything was connected to Charles. Okay, this was my last video. And again, just so you guys know, let me just pull up the video. This was my live stream right here, putting all the puzzle pieces together. I should have titled it Connecting All the Web Points because now we're going to talk about the web. But again, 11K views now on this video. I know it shows 10 there, but it's actually 11K views. But yeah, so everyone who watched this, you guys know this, but let's just recap. All right. So Charles, this all started in Charlotte, North Carolina in August when the woman was killed on the train in Charlotte, okay? This then led to the death of Charlie Kirk, which again, Charlotte is a form of Charles or Charlie. And then in my last video, I connected it to the Firestarter movie with Charlie as the Firestarter. But the main point was that it started with the killing of the woman on the train by DeCarlos Brown. DeCarlos is a form of Charles, and he killed a woman in Charlotte, which is a form of Charles, right? And then, as Charlie Cook was speaking out on the death of the woman in Charlotte, he was killed, and his name was Charles, right? And then the team from Charlotte, the football team, just happened to fire their public relations employee named Charlie Rock for posting a bad tweet about Charlie Kirk, okay? And again, this was in Charlotte, the same place the woman was killed by DeCarlos. So all of it's about Charlie and Charles. And then we found out that there was a man that burned down a house in Charlotte connecting to the fires, but that's not important. The most important thing is all the Charles references. And I found out later that Carolina, so Charlotte, North Carolina is literally Charles, North Charles. Let's put it that way, okay? When you read the name of the city, Charlotte, North Carolina, you're literally reading Charles, North Charles, okay? So it's double Charles. So that's why this city, Charlotte, is so important. And that's why Charlie Kirk was killed just after the Charlotte stabbing. And remember, the woman in Charlotte was stabbed in the neck, and Charlie was shot in the neck, and George Floyd had the knee on the neck. Okay, and the guy has the same birthday, Charlie Kirk, as George Floyd. So with that in mind, that's just a recap. just a few days later, after my Charles video, right, we get the death of Charles Robert Redford. And it's just ridiculous, guys. It's just ridiculous. How can anyone not see this stuff, okay? Considering my last video was all about Charles, and then this, okay? He died on the 106 days left in the year, September 16th. Well, the name Charles Robert Redford equals 106. Now, this is a huge number with George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. Remember, I told you Charlie Kirk has the same birthday as George Floyd. I Can't Breathe equals 106. Black equals 106. Black Lives Matter, 106. Now, the Black Panthers, right? The Black Panthers who fired their coach, the Charlotte Black Panthers, remember we're talking about blacks, right? They're connected to blacks as well, right? So you guys know the Black Panther Party, right? So, I mean, but the 106 is a huge black history number, right? But Charles Robert Redford dies today, September 16th. The 106 days left in the year. Now, remember, I just talked about Charlotte, North Carolina. What do you think Charles Robert Redford equals in gematria? Well, there you go. Charles Robert Redford equals Charlotte, North Carolina, 106. Are you kidding me? Look at this. It also equals Charlie Kirk shot in the neck. Are you kidding me? So I just set up the whole last video, how I was talking about Charlotte, North Carolina. And now you get this on the 106 days left in the year. And we're now in the 106th season of the NFL. And the Charlotte, North Carolina team, right, fired their Charlie Rock after he posted about Charlie, right? And then the guy that dies, named Charles, has the 106 like Charlotte, North Carolina. It's undeniable, okay? it's undeniable. So this is really all I need to say, but what if we get even deeper with this? Not only does Charles Robert Redford share a name with Charles Kirk, look at this, guys. Here is a map. Here is a map of Provo, Utah, around Salt Lake City, right? Here is where Charles Redford died today. Or no, sorry. I got this mixed up. My apologies. Hold on. Let me oh, I'm so sorry, guys. This is not how I meant to do this. Okay, so not only do both their names Charles, right? Here's where Charles Kirk died on the 10th. And here's where Charles Redford died on the 16th. 6 days apart. Are you kidding me? Like, it's so laughable at this point. Look at this. Windsor North. Windsor. Who's named Windsor? King Charles, Queen Elizabeth, Windsor. So this also connects to the royal family, Windsor. Okay. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, how it connects to the royal family. Remember, what did Queen Elizabeth have on her coffin? You guys remember? What animal was on Queen Elizabeth's coffin? Yes, it was a spider. Remember? And we're going to talk about Charlotte's Web. I was talking about Charlotte's Web yesterday before we found out. If you go and watch my video on Bald Don't Lie's channel, I came on with him and I was talking about Charlotte's Web. And that was before Robert Redford died. And you want to guess what movie Robert Redford was in? Robert Redford was in Charlotte's Web. Big shout out to Maggie McCombs, who shared this with me. Big shout out to her. Guys, are you kidding me? Robert Redford was in Charlotte's Web. And the guy who directed the original Charlotte's Web movie was Charles August Nichols. And he was born in Utah. In Utah. So Charles Kirk dies in Utah. Then Charles Redford dies in Utah. Charles Redford was in Charlotte's Web. The guy who directed that is Charles Nichols, who was born in Utah on September 15th. Guys, that was yesterday. It would be only more perfect if today was the birthday of the director of Charlotte's Web. But it's just one day ago was his birthday. This is unbelievable. Like, and again, I told you yesterday, before Robert Redford died, I was on, go look it up. I was on a stream with Bald Don't Lie, and I was talking about Charlotte's Web. And then the next day, this guy dies. And his name is Charles, and he was in Charlotte's Web. And remember, Charles equals Charlotte equals Carolina equals Charlie equals Carlos, all the same. So it's obviously all about the spider web, guys. Every day we search the World Wide Web. Every day we're connected in this matrix of, it's a web. We are connected in a web of synchronicity, and that's just more proof, okay? Now, if we can get this to load, hold on. My thing's not loading. Let me refresh it. Hold on. Yeah, just give it a second to load, guys. It's being super slow. But thank you for the likes. Please hit the like if you guys find this content at least a bit interesting. So now we have to talk about Charlotte's Web in connection to Charlie Kirk. Remember, I called this video Charlie's Web instead of Charlotte's Web, right? Guys, the funeral of Charlie Kirk will be being held in State Farm Stadium. What is Charlotte's Web about? It's about a farm. So not only is Robert Redford's death connected to Charles Kirk, which connects us to Charlotte's Web as well, Charlie Kirk will be having his funeral in a stadium called State Farm. How many people have their funerals in stadiums? First of all. Okay? So, with that also in mind, this weekend after Charlie Kirk's death, look at the two teams that played each other. It's the team from Charlotte and the team from who plays in State Farm. I mean, this game literally happened a few days after Kirk's death, which is connected to Charlotte's Web, and it's the team from Charlotte against the team who plays in State Farm Arena, which is the Cardinals. And this happened on Robert Prevost's birthday, the Pope, right? This game between the Charlotte and Arizona happened on Pope Leo's birthday. The Cardinal, right? So if you put all that together, right? You put Robert Redford equaling Charlotte, North Carolina. Today is the 106 days left in the year, 106. He dies just miles away from, and look at what age he died at, guys, 89. Do you see what road runs through Provo, Utah? Yep, you guessed it, 89. The road 89 runs through Utah right there, and that's how old Robert Redford was. And Robert Redford was in Charlotte's Web. The guy who directed Charlotte's Web is Charles A. Nichols. His birthday was yesterday. He was from Utah. Charlie Kirk is going to be having a funeral in State Farm Stadium, like the farm in Charlotte's Web. And the two teams that played this weekend was Charlotte versus State Farm Arena team. Now, this is going to bring it all together. Look at this. If anyone doesn't hit the like for this, I don't know what they'll hit the like for. But look at this. From the original release of Charlotte's Web on 2/22/1973 to the death of Charlie Kirk, 52 years, 200 days. The gematria of the movie Charlotte's Web is 52 and 200. Mic drop. How perfect is that? Like the exact gematria of Charlotte's Web in two of the four base ciphers. 52 years and 200 days, which is the gematria of Charlotte's Web. And look at this. Charles Kirk equals 52 in the same cipher as Charlotte's Web. Spider web equals 52. And why is this important? Because the movie, the original book called Charlotte's Web, in the year 52. Now, who is the person who became queen in 52? Yes, Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth became queen the year Charlotte's Web came out. Queen Elizabeth, Spider. So here we go. Here is the proof that this is all connected to the royal family. But look at that little good old guy right there on Queen Elizabeth's casket. Oh, yeah, that's a spider, guys. And again, she was born, or she became queen in 1952. Charlotte's Web was released in 1952. And from the release of the movie Charlotte's Web to Charlie Kirk is 52 years, 200 days. Charlotte's Web equals 52. Now look at this. Charlie's Webs equals 52, like Charles Kirk, right? Well, look at what I found online. There is a company based out of California, I think, called Charlie's Webs. Charlie's Webs. Charlie's Webs equals 52, like Charlotte's Web. And this isn't a small channel either, guys. This has 927K followers. But I mean, this is just interesting. I don't know how this will actually connect, but I just found this super interesting. But anyway, this is the main point of this section of the decode. From Charlotte's Web to Charlie Kirk, 52 years, 200 days. Charlotte's Web, 52, 200. He's going to be buried in State Farm. Robert Redford played in Charlotte's Web. Robert Redford just died. And again, Robert Redford died. Now look at this. Again, going back to this. Windsor North, right here in Utah. Windsor. The last name of Queen Elizabeth and King Charles, right? Windsor. Now, this is just the first section of the decode. We got way more to talk about. But let's theorize something here a little bit. There is something known as the spider grandmother. This is in the Hopi and Navajo religion, okay? Now, this spider grandmother is the weaver of reality. Now, we live in a matrix, of course, which is a bunch of webs connected. Every day we use the World Wide Web. So in my opinion, the web is an overlooked symbol in the decoding community. So now I'm going to start bringing attention to it because the web is truly what we're living in. And I'm proving this as I'm talking about this, right? But the Native Americans who have this symbol, the spider grandmother, are the southwestern United States Indians. The Navajo are from Utah and Arizona. So the spider grandmother, all this happened in Utah, right? And the funeral for Charlie Kirk is in Arizona. Well, the Navajo have the spider grandmother, and the Navajo are in Utah and Arizona. Okay? Now, another mythology for the spider if you go to cultural depictions of spiders, you're going to see the first one they mention is Utu. Right here. Doesn't that not remind you of the word Utah? Well, Utu is a Sumerian goddess of weaving. So I don't have a lot on this yet, but the point is that it seems like this could be a play on words of the spider goddess, Utu, which is very, very close to Utu, which is very close to Utah, okay? And then I just showed you that if you look into the Navajo people, they have the spider grandmother, which is based out of Utah and Arizona. So this seems to draw a connection as to why Utah might be a place for all this stuff to go down. Also, I noticed that there was an article online. Strangely enough, there was an article online right here. If you search Utah and spiders, one of the articles that comes up is Utah hike a Carolina wolf spider. And then I find out that Carolina wolf spiders are located in the area of Utah. And what was this whole decode about? I started off talking about Carolina, which is a form of Charles. And then I find this article about Carolina wolf spiders in Utah. So, I mean, maybe that's just a coincidence, but it's definitely worth bringing up. So let's talk about the Pope for a minute, because Charlie Kirk, he comes from Chicago, and Pope Leo comes from Chicago. Well, the place where Robert Redford and Charlie Kirk died is Provo, And Provo is named after Etienne Provost. Well, here you go, guys. The name of our current pope is Robert Francis Prevost. So this is why I believe they also chose Provo, Utah as the ritual point, because this connects us to Pope Leo, whose name is Prevost, which is a form of provost, which is the city gets its name from provost. Okay. So, and why do you think, again, the team from Charlotte was playing the Arizona Cardinals, right? Cardinals are Catholic clergy, right? And Pope Leo was a cardinal at one point. So this all connects to Pope Leo. Pope Leo's birthday. This happened on Pope Leo's birthday, guys. This game, September 14th, right? So yeah, provost equals prevost equals provo. So now we got to go back to Charles Robert Redford. Now let's go back to July. And let's find my video right here. Let's find my video called Get Ready, This Is More Than a Drowning. I made this in July. And in this video, I talked about Robert Redford. Let's just show. Let me find it. Right here. So again, this is my video from July, right after the death of Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show. And again, who do you guys see there on the screen? Robert Redford. Robert Redford is featured on the back of Donald Trump's book called Crippled America. And this decode was about Ripple XRP, the cryptocurrency. And the movie that Robert Redford is in, that I talked about, is Sneakers. And in this movie, let me show you. This is from Sneakers, 1992. Here's Robert Redford. They hack into the Federal Reserve, right here, Federal Reserve, hacked in, and they see code XRP262. This is what my whole decode was about in July. And I told you guys in this video or somewhere, I remember telling you guys that I think Robert Redford would probably die soon. Okay. And what is happening today and tomorrow? Let me just type it in. Let me just get it up here. September 2025. Here it is, guys. The Federal Reserve meeting is today and tomorrow. So Robert Redford, the guy I talked about 2 months ago, in connection to the Federal Reserve, he dies on the day of a Federal Reserve meeting. Today, September 16th. And the Federal Reserve is getting ready to cut rates, interest rates. So this could be a big time for cryptocurrency. And remember, back in my July video, I talked about the cryptocurrency XRP262, which is located on the Federal Reserve screen in the movie Sneakers. Now, when did the movie Sneakers come out? So here's the movie. Look who directed Sneakers. A guy named Robinson. Are you kidding me? Who's the shooter's name in the Charlie Kirk case? Robinson. So a guy named Robinson directed this movie. But the point is, when was the original release of this movie? September 11th, 1992. Right there. So that means Charlie Kirk's shooting happened on literally almost the anniversary of the Sneakers movie. And then a few days later, the guy who stars in Sneakers, he dies. And his name is Charles. Right? I already pointed that out. I already made that pretty clear. And here I am 2 months ago talking about the Federal Reserve and Robert Redford. Here is a slide once again from 2 months ago. I talked about the Phoenix coin. This was all about the death of Malcolm Jamal Warner, who drowned. And then here's the Cosby Show, right? This was all connected to the Cosby Show because the Cosby Show was where Malcolm Jamal Warner was in. And between the final episode of the Cosby Show to the Sneakers movie was 134 days. Make America Great Again, 134. The last episode was called Theo's Gift. XRP, Ripple XRP, the cryptocurrency, 134. So raise your hand in the chat if you guys remember me talking about this specific guy, Robert Redford. Here's another slide from 2 months ago again. Robert Redford and Sneakers. Yeah, and then this, right? Donald Trump has already come out and said he talked about the death of Robert Redford today. But again, on the back of his book, Crippled America, and think about everything that just happened with Charlie Kirk, right? America is kind of crippled, right? Everyone's focusing on the death of Charlie Kirk right now. And on the back of the book, Robert Redford is quoted by Larry King. Larry King is the guy who quotes him. And this all connects to King Charles and King James. And I already did decodes on that. But yeah, I mean, it all goes back to this theme of Charles, right? And I mean, I just don't know what to say sometimes about how perfect this stuff is. It's truly a web. But now, how does this all connect to the Federal Reserve meeting today? Well, the guy who was speaking out against the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was a guy by the name of Charles August Lindbergh. So the guy, one of the people who spoke out against the Federal Reserve in its beginnings, was named Charles. Now, you guys might recognize this name because not only is his name Charles, his name is Charles August. I mean, that's a pretty rare middle name, right? There's not a lot of people with the middle name August. So you notice how his name is Charles August? Well, what is the name of the guy? Excuse me. What is the name of the guy who directed Charlotte's Web? Charles August. Again, tell me in the chat, how many of you guys have seen the middle name August before? I haven't seen hardly anyone with the middle name August. But it just so happens that the same guy who spoke out against the Federal Reserve, Charles August, he has the same names as the guy who directed the movie Charlotte's Web. I mean, isn't that crazy? And now Charles Redford, right, dies, and he was in Charlotte's Web. Right here, Charles Redford dies. He was in the movie Charlotte's Web. And again, Charles and Charlotte, the same name. So the Federal Reserve is something to watch over the next 2 days. If the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, we could literally be heading for a Great Depression by next year, I think. So for those of you, I just think that it could go differently than that, but I think that what is coming is a financial reset, and that's really what this is all about. Think about the name of Charlie Kirk's. What was Charlie Kirk's name of his brand, right? Turning Point. Do you guys get it? A turning point from a cash society to a cashless society. That's what I think it is. A new financial system, a turning point. So, and it's located in Phoenix. And in my decode about Robert Redford and sneakers, I talked about the Phoenix magazine, right? You guys remember the Phoenix magazine? Get ready for a world currency. And again, this is my decode from 2 months ago right here. This slide is not a current slide. I did this 2 months ago, this slide. And I talked about get ready for a world currency with the Phoenix. You guys see the Catholic thing right there? The fleur-de-lis, freedom. The fleur-de-lis is connected to freedom. Charlie Kirk was wearing a freedom. Charles means free man. So again, 2 months ago, I'm talking about this, and now we get all this stuff. And the funeral of Charlie Kirk is going to be held in Phoenix or near Phoenix. And again, turning point. Something's turning around. And just the way they designed the logo, it looks like they're turning backwards, Because if you think about it, in the English, in America, we write to the left. We go to the left when we write, which means if you're going to the right, you're actually going back. That would be in America, right? Some languages, they write the other way. I think like what cultures write to or left to right? There's a few, but not many. So when you write left to right, and then your arrow is pointing, it's going to the left, but then it's turning back, it makes me think of going back. Going back to what? Turning point, turning around and going back. And when Charlie Kirk was shot, he was shot in the throat, which is speech, freedom of speech. So is this a turning point for freedom of speech? I don't know, but we'll see. But again, back just real quickly on the Charlotte's Web thing. It was written by E.B. White. I don't want to get into E.B. White, but I mean, I could, but I just think I'll. But Robert Redford was in this movie. And again, I showed you from the original release movie of the Charlotte's Web. Like, this is the most mind-blowing part of the decode, in my opinion. Because when we use basic English gematria, and look at this, guys, the movie Sneakers, which I just talked about with Robert Redford, it equals 52. Like Spiderweb, like Charlotte's Web, like Charles Kirk, like Charlie's Webs. I showed you that place online called Charlie's Webs. So, but it's just perfect that if you go from the movie to the death of Charlie Kirk, 52 years, 200 days, Charlotte's Web is 52, 200. Yeah, again, people always ask me what it means. Well, it means exactly what you're seeing. It means that this is all a web of reality. We're literally living in an interconnected, and some of it is God's web. It's done by the creator itself. Synchronicity and connection. We're all connected. It's impossible for us to not be connected. But what I'm saying is that these things happen and they're all interconnected and they're all pointing to the future and they're all pointing to the past. So again, I've proven that this is a history lesson, right? Because Charlie Kirk's death was connected to the death of John the Fearless, which was in history. He died. He was assassinated on the same day as Kirk was. So it's a history lesson. It takes us to the past, but it also takes us to the future. So why do you think the movie Back to the Future is so important in our reality? Because all these connections I make on a daily basis, they're connected to the past and the future, right? All the events in the past are interconnected. All the events in the future are interconnected. So whatever happens in the future is going to be tied to this. I'm sure of it. Okay. You're going to be able to go look back at Charlie Kirk's death 4 or 5 years from now and say, wow, this event in 2029 is connected to Charlie Kirk's death. Right? That's what you're going to be able to do. In Back to the Future, they even predicted 9/11 before it happened. So the movie Back to the Future, which I'm going to talk about in my next decode, because I have some mind-blowing stuff to share about Back to the Future. But it's literally cluing us in that everything is an interconnected web. And I want you guys to think about a spider, right? I want you guys to think about a spider that spins webs, connects everything, right? But a spider is a hunter. Now, who's the person that took out Charlie Kirk? His name was Hunter. But this spider has 8 legs. Now, what's the number associated with time travel and Back to the Future? The number 8, 88. The spider has 8 legs. And again, every day we converse. I'm talking to you right now on what is called the World Wide Web. So the 88 connects to the spider because the spider has 8 legs, right? And Spider-Man, right? Yeah, people are saying Spider-Man. So, of course, Spider-Man, one of the most famous superheroes, right? Out of all the animals that they could have created a superhero out of, they did a spider, right? But again, spider, I don't want to get too much into it, but let's look into another movie by Robert Redford. And let me just show you again how this is so crazy. Look, remember, Charlie Kirk is from Chicago area. Pope Leo is from Chicago, okay? Well, Robert Redford was in a movie called The Natural about baseball. Now, can anyone in the chat tell me how webs are connected to baseball? Let me see if anyone in the chat can get this. How does the web connect to baseball? And then we're going to get into the connection to Robert Redford and Chicago and the Cubs. But I'm just trying to see if anyone knows how it connects to baseball. Yes, exactly. The web, the glove, right, that catches the ball, right, is webbed. They call it the webbing. So yeah, let me just pull that up. Just going to duplicate this. Baseball glove webbing. Yeah, so you can see baseball glove web, right? It's clearly connected. Now, Robert Redford, who was in Charlotte's Web, he was also in a baseball movie called The Natural. Now, just wait till you see what this movie's about. Robert Redford plays a man named Hobbs, and he heads to Chicago for a tryout with the Chicago Cubs. Now, Charlie Kirk's wife, who's the favorite baseball team of Charlie Kirk? Yeah, the Chicago Cubs. So Charles Redford dies right after Charles Kirk. The favorite baseball team of Charlie Kirk is the Cubs. And the movie that Charles Redford plays in about baseball, he's going for a tryout for the Chicago Cubs. Now, what happens in this movie? He gets shot. So the guy that's going to play for the Cubs, Robert Redford in the movie, he gets shot. Well, what just happened to Charles Kirk? He got shot, the Cubs fan. So you guys see how much of a joke it is? Like, this movie is about the Cubs and about him getting shot. And I haven't seen this movie, but I'm sure if you watch this movie, there would be clues as to how this ties in to the death of Kirk and Pope Leo. Right here, it says, Hobbs later meets Harriet in Chicago, and she asks him if his boast that he can be the best there ever was is true. Hobbs answers yes, and Harriet shoots him in the abdomen. Like, how much more perfect of a story is that to go with Charlie Kirk? I mean, the Cubs fan that gets shot, it's just perfect. And look at the original novel. The Natural came out in 1952. Well, when did Charlotte's Web come out? 1952. So Robert Redford, I was talking about him 2 months ago in connection to the Federal Reserve. I already talked about how this is tied to the Federal Reserve. But who would have thought that Charles Kirk would have been the main ritual for, back then, 2 months ago, who would have thought that Charles Kirk would have been another sacrifice, or Robert Redford would have been connected to Charlie Kirk, right? And, you know, Robert Redford has a huge, he was also in All the President's Men. So there might be a part 2 decode about Robert Redford, because I'm sure if I look into all of his movies, you're going to find, now this is about Nixon and Watergate. So think about how Trump right now has the thing going on with the Epstein stuff. So that's wait, here's a Charles too. Look, even in this there's a Charles. Look, Charles Colson. Okay, who is this? Hold on. So again, if we go to this movie about Robert Redford, there's even a guy named Charles mentioned here too. An employee of President Richard Nixon's White House counsel, Charles Colson. So again, Like, I'll have to look more into this guy. I already talked about Charles August Nichols, who did Charlotte's Web. I talked about Charles August Lindbergh, who opposed the Federal Reserve. But now, when we look into this other movie, All the King's Men. Wait, where was I? Hold on. I got too many pages up with Charles. Yeah, so Charles Colson, that's somebody to look into. Here's another thing, how this connects to Charlotte. Remember, Charlotte is another name for Charles. The Charlotte Mint. So now that we're talking about the Federal Reserve has to do with the Gold Act. Well, the first mint in the United States was located in Charlotte. The Charlotte Mint was the first United States branch mint. It was located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and specialized in gold coinage. So another connection to Charlotte. Now, where is Charlotte? Is the banking? Is Charlotte known for banks? Oh, I forgot to even mention, Charlotte is known as the Queen City. So here we go again with the royal family, the Queen. Has long had national attention as the second largest banking and finance center in the United States. So not only was the first gold mint in the United States in Charlotte, in today's era, Charlotte is the second largest banking and finance center in the United States. So if you add all that together, right? You add all that together, everything I talked about here, it's pretty obvious that this is a Charlie's Web, okay? Charles Webb, however you want to call it. Isn't there a guy named Charles Webb? Hold on. Is there a guy named Charles Webb? Sure is. There is a guy named Charles Webb. I don't know why I just thought of that. I mean, I don't really feel like looking into this right now, but whoops, Charles Webb. Oh, look at the 159. That was a big number with Charlie Kirk. Charles Webb. Is the space telescope? Oh, the space telescope is James Webb, right? Well, Charlie Kirk's middle name is James. Yeah, see? James Webb Space Telescope. Now, Charlie Kirk's middle name was James. Charles Webb, born in San Francisco, yeah. I noticed that too. That's where the Super Bowl is going to be next year. That connects to the whole other narrative. But yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to also look into the James Webb Telescope, I'm sure there's something. Yeah, I'm just going to jump into the chat and finish this decode off with taking some additions. Please hit those likes if you guys are enjoying. Yeah. Hold on. This is a good point. Betty R says, the secret lies with Charlotte. Yeah, let's look into this. Wow, guys. Wow. I totally forgot about this movie. But this is probably hugely connected. In the movie National Treasure, there's that famous riddle, the secret lies with Charlotte. Guys, I just did a decode about Sneakers. In the movie Sneakers with Robert Redford, they say too many secrets. So right before they hack into the Federal Reserve, they spell out this phrase on the table, too many secrets, right? But now in the movie, right, National Treasure, there's this secret lies with Charlotte. Let's just see what that phrase equals. I don't know why it won't let me copy and paste. I'm just interested to see what this equals. Oh my goodness, guys, look. Guys, what the heck? Holy moly. What did I start out talking about? This whole number that is decode. The secret lies with Charlotte equals Charles Robert Redford equals Charlotte, North Carolina. Today is the 106 days left in the year. Robert Redford died today. And I just told you how the secrets connects to Robert Redford. He was in this movie where they talk about too many secrets. They hack into the Federal Reserve. They see XRP. To most of the world, XRP is a secret. No one really knows about these cryptocurrencies. So you're telling me that it just happens to be that the phrase in that movie, National Treasure, equals 106? Secret lies with Charlotte. Oy, oy, oy. You know, I've got so many movies I'm looking into right now. I've got Sneakers. I've got Back to the Future. Now I got to look into National Treasure. I'm overwhelmed, guys. Overwhelmed by connections. This web of connections is overwhelming. But yeah, thank you to Betty. Thank you to Betty for pointing that out, because I'm glad we didn't miss that. So I guess you guys can expect a decode on National Treasure coming soon, most likely. Charlotte, that is the key to the treasure. Wait, is it this thing? The Mearscombe pipe was found on Charlotte. Man, I hate this website. It's a $1 billion pipe. Is it a $1 million pipe? The Mearscombe pipe. It was the first clue to the location of the Templar treasure. Oh my. Why have I never looked into this movie, guys? Why have I never looked into National Treasure? What even is this thing? I don't get what this is. Meerschaum, that's German. Well, I can say a lot of things here, but I think I'm not going to say anything right now about that, but there's definitely something there. There's things I could talk about, but so the first thing they have to do is they have to find the Charlotte. And then they find the Meerschaum pipe, which leads them to the Declaration of Independence. Freedom, guys. The pipe is later revealed to be the key, Francis Scott Key Bridge, to the treasure room. I don't know. I will look more into this, because right now I don't want to look right now. I got another stream to do here in a few minutes. So let's see. Let me go to the chat. Thank you to all the 338 people in here. Thank you for hitting those like buttons. If anyone else has anything else to share, please do so before I get off here. Charlotte in German means free woman. Yeah, exactly. Charlotte is the feminine version of Charles. So again, just to remind, somebody's asking me where I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be on live in an hour and a half on Ball Don't Lie. So I beg you guys, please go subscribe to this channel, because if you guys are new to the channel, you guys are going to love to listen to me, AJ, and Rambo every Tuesday. Every Tuesday we get together and we share connections. So this stream tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, please come around. That's why I'm going to try to wrap this stream up soon, because I got to get on this stream in a bit. And we're going to talk more about these things on this stream. So please come over and subscribe to this guy's channel. He's my best buddy, and he deserves a follow and a like also for all he does to get people together. So please go give him that support. Okay, so let me end it with this. The last few days, I have gotten almost 700 subs, and I got a video that's over 11,000 views. So thank you to everyone who's came into the community, everyone who's watched and supported and hit the like button. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I have this platform, and I appreciate every single one of you. God has blessed me. All glory to God with this ability, and God deserves the glory in this web. He does. He if anyone, he is the web himself. So but thank you to all the people who make this possible. And it's you guys. You're my family. We're all family here, and I appreciate you. I'm just checking the chat to see if there's anyone else. Yeah, I saw that Candace Owens had mentioned that she's the Mason of the Turning Point. I saw that headline, but I didn't look much into it. But yeah, Candace Owens, she's probably... But yeah, maybe we'll look more into Candace Owens at some point too, but not right now. Thank you to Trust in Jesus. Appreciate you. Thank you, Connie. Thank you to Sojourn for always being here and moderating. Appreciate you. Not of This World, thank you. Thank you to Coffee Girl, who's always here. Really appreciate you. Maggie McCombs, another great subscriber. Absolutely appreciate you, and thank you so much for all you do. Thanks to Maggie McCombs for leading me to the Charlotte's Web thing. Without Maggie, I wouldn't have found that. So thank you, Maggie. Rate cut equals 88, really. So if we get a rate cut, oh my goodness. Guys, rate cut equals Trump. Wow. Well, again, tomorrow's Federal Reserve meeting, they're probably going to cut rates, and you might see things start getting exciting in the small markets, but that might only last for another couple months, and then get ready, buckle up for a economic downturn. That's what I think. Somebody says CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans is a woman masquerading as a man. I just find it funny that Mike, that's the one thing you wanted to bring up in the stream. I wasn't talking at all about CJ Stroud, but I mean, it is funny that you say that, but I mean, I'm sure that's probably true. Who knows? But guess who plays for the Houston Texans, guys? A guy named Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, right? CK, like Charles Kirk. So this guy is supposedly going to be making his debut. Look at this. Christian Kirk to play. And when is he going to be making his first game this year? This is absolutely obvious too, guys. Christian Kirk will be playing in week 3 for the first time. When is week 3 start? Week 3 is on the funeral of Charlie Kirk. Are you guys getting this? The player named Christian Kirk, who once played for the Cardinals. I just already talked about the Cardinals, but now he's playing for the Texans. He's going to be making his season debut on the funeral of Charlie Kirk. Are you kidding me? And this guy's name literally means Christian church, because the word Kirk is Scottish for church. So this guy's name literally means Christian church. And he's going to make his debut on Charlie Kirk's funeral. Are you kidding me? And he used to play for the Arizona Cardinals. That's where Charlie Kirk's getting buried, in the stadium of the picture you see right here of Christian Kirk is him in Arizona, which is the place where Charlie Kirk is going to be buried. Like, if this doesn't wake people up, I don't know what would. The only thing that makes it not perfect is that he's not playing for the Cardinals still. He's playing for the Texans instead. So it makes me wonder what the Texans have to do with this. Look at his birthday, guys. November 18th. What is November 18th? Does anyone know? November 18th is normally the 322 day of the year. So Christian Kirk is born on the 322, normally the 322 day of the year. Oh, man. Yeah, I might talk more about Christian Kirk later, but I just needed to add that in here because it's pretty obvious. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Thank you to all the people who stayed along and listened. If you guys found the info helpful or eye-opening, please hit that like button. And as always, make sure you come over to the stream in an hour and join us as we talk about, this is the channel right here. If anyone wants to leave the link one more time, I'll be on this channel in an hour and a half or so. So with that being said, guys, God bless. I'll see you guys over there on AJ's channel, and we're gonna have another good stream later. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you in a little bit.